worked for a small company first. So like, I think there was 5 of us at the time. So I like sat right next to the founder of the company and I learned really quickly from him. That was because he was a good teacher, but it's also because I'm someone who like, I actively try to learn and try to understand things.
So Chloë, if you had to summarize everything that you've shared so far, how did you go shift from 0 on day 1 to an over £3 million agency in just a few years' time?
What would I put that down to? I think having... Mm-hmm.
I often think that when it comes to people who start businesses, entrepreneurs and that kind of thing, they have some point of no return. Like whether it's, and when I talk about point of no return, I mean in the sense that whether it's one experience or just over a period of time, through a number of different experiences, you get to a stage where you think like, all right, cool, I'm going to set out on my own and try and do the thing myself. What did that look like for you? Did you have an experience, or was it over a period of time that you just come to a realization like, okay, I want to start something myself?
Yeah. So interestingly, throughout secondary school, every single teacher told me I needed to start my own business. And that wasn't like a positive thing they were saying. They were basically saying, you don't listen to anyone, so you're going to have to work for yourself. Like, there's no way you're going to be able to work for someone else. And to be fair, they were right, because I don't think I'm designed to work for other people. But I'm trying to think, I don't think I had like a specific point. It probably was a bunch of different things. What I always say now in terms of like building Shift is that I've tried to build the company that I would have wanted to work for, because I don't think I've had a lot of jobs, and I don't think I've ever had a job where I felt like truly happy or like truly kind of settled in there or like I completely fit in. So I wanted to start a company that basically allowed everyone to feel that. I think probably one of the points was one of my previous managers, like my last manager that I had, I realized that I was better at doing the job than her. And I think when I figured that out, I was like, you know what, if you can do this, then I can, because you're asking me for help and you're my boss. Yeah. So I should be able to do it. So that was probably like the like tipping point. There was, what's the saying? Like, it was like the straw that broke the donkey's back or whatever. Like there'd already been a bunch of stuff anyway. Yeah. And that was the point of realization that like, actually I can do this. Yeah. But yeah.
I mean, I find in the professional world anyways, that you often get a lot of people who are very senior, who are senior just because they've been doing it for a long time. Yeah. Not necessarily through because they're good at their job. I come across a lot of people like that.
Yeah. Do you know what else it is as well? I think I was actually having this conversation yesterday. I did like an interview for a university study. So I was talking about this randomly. But when you come from a working class background, you're not really given the tools to understand how to work your way up within the corporate world, within the professional world. You're not given those tools. You're not taught how to negotiate salary. You're not taught that you can actually ask for a promotion. I had no idea I could ask for promotion until like however many jobs in. So actually, I think quite often the people that are at the top, exactly what you're saying, it's not particularly that they're better than anyone who's not at the top. It's that maybe they're more knowledgeable in terms of how to actually navigate their way up and, you know, negotiate a high salary, negotiate a promotion, negotiate whatever it is. And I think that's probably what it was.
Yeah, it's very true. I didn't know negotiation was a thing. I thought that when you get offered a job, you just take it. I didn't know you come back.
Oh yeah, thanks.
I didn't know you come back and be like, you know what, I'm thinking of that, and then try and negotiate salaries and your contract and that kind of. I didn't know.
And promotions, I feel like I genuinely thought you just sit around and then someone says to you, "Oh, you're doing a great job. It's time for you to be promoted." But like, you'll sit around forever for real.
If only the world was like that, eh?
Right? But that's how I'm trying to build Shift. Like I don't want my team to ever have to come to me and ask me for a promotion. I'd rather tell them very clearly, you need to do X, Y, and Z. Once you've done those things, then you're going to get a promotion. Yeah. Or I've given my team raises without any of them asking me, because I think it's really important to do so. So I'm sure sooner or later somebody will ask me, but I'd rather that's like few and far between, because I don't think people should be having to beg to be promoted when they're doing a good job.
Well, you said that you built Shift because you wanted to build an agency that you would have wanted to work for before. What does that look like? What does Shift look? And what is Shift as well?
Oh yeah. Hi. So Shift is an influencer talent management agency. So we manage influencers essentially. I prefer the term content creators, but influencers is what the industry that I'm in. We manage quite a broad range of creators. So we have people that are like focused on food, family, we have activists, we have speakers, it's quite broad. But yeah, we manage them. What management looks like, so I've realized not everyone knows. I keep on doing talks and they're like, what what do you do? Like, how do you make money? Basically, what we do is when you see like a hashtag ad or a paid partnership, we're like the middleman between the brand and the creator. Basically, we do the negotiations, we do the contracts, we do all of that kind of stuff. We obviously, well, us personally, we proactively try to get them deals. We also work on more agent type stuff, which is like books, TV, podcasts, all of that kind of thing. We call it offline, but basically things that aren't a brand partnership. So that's what Shift is, essentially. In terms of how I've tried to make Shift a place that everyone feels welcome and the kind of place I would want to work at. As I said, all of the stuff with being super transparent with my team, there's no conversation where it's like, oh, this is a management conversation and this is a team conversation. Because I used to feel really kind of left out of things like that, where it was like this group of people making all of the decisions and then everyone else just had to follow. And just don't, that's not how I think things should work. So the way in which Shift works is that everyone's involved in the conversation. And obviously as the team grows, I'm sure that will change. There will have to be conversations that are management or whatever, but I never want it to feel like there's a group of people that are like the ruling class and they tell everyone else what to do. It should be a collaborative effort, because just because you're higher up, it doesn't mean you know any better. Actually, someone who's an intern might have the best idea ever. Sure. So it's really important that everyone's voice is heard within Shift. Voices. What else? I think I've tried to foster a workplace where no one feels stupid for asking a question. I think in terms of like the conversation around diversity and inclusion and all of that kind of thing, I think where a lot of people go wrong is that you're made to feel scared about asking, how do you communicate with a certain group of people, or how do you, like, what are you meant to say about this group of people or whatever. So I think at the moment we're quite a diverse team. So it's myself, I'm mixed race. Got a white guy called Adam, we've got a girl called Sydney who's Filipino, and then we've got Marley who's a black girl. She's from African and Caribbean heritage. We have like really great conversations because all of us are from very different backgrounds. All of us had very different upbringings, but none of us feel stupid to be like, oh, do you know what, Sydney? I don't really grow up around a lot of Asian people. Like, let's talk about it. Let me learn about your culture, vice versa. Which is also really important when you're managing talent, because if, for example, Sydney manages one of our talent, Shah, who's a natural hair influencer. Sydney doesn't come from a background where she probably would have been that kind of exposed to the natural hair conversational community. She doesn't come from London either. So it's super important that she feels comfortable enough to ask me, ask Marley, whoever, and say, oh, like, I don't know, for example, like a shampoo company reaches out and they're like, oh, we need Shah to wash her hair 3 times within the week. There's no way she's going to be doing that. So being able to have that conversation with us to make sure that she understands how to communicate for our talent. So yeah, we have really, really great open conversations, and that's something that's been important to me to foster. But happiness is key. That's the main thing. Like, happiness is the main like goal with Shift, more so than profits or anything else. Like, we focus on the team and the talent's happiness before we focus of making money. We've made a lot of money, but actually it's because the team's happy. We've got 100% staff retention rate. No one's left. The talent are happy because we actually care about their mental health. We care about their well-being. We care about their long-term goals rather than just like, yeah, let's make money quick. So basically, happiness over profits is the main thing.
I had a conversation with one of my friends earlier today, and he's does a lot of public speaking. He's signed to a public speaking agency, and he was telling me that his experience with this agency has been terrible because they have so many people on their books. It's crazy. And he was like, unless if you're a massive brand name, they haven't sent him any work. Unless if you're a massive brand name, all his engagements he's getting just personally through personal. What's the word? Like personal people he knows, and basically, not anything through the agency. It's been really, really bad for him. But it seems like your approach is slightly different, where you're more so. It's more like a quality. That's what I'm hearing, like quality and happiness, as opposed to let's get 1,000 people on our books and let's just bolster our ranks and that kind of thing.
Exactly. And it's a shame because I'm not actually surprised by what you're saying, which is a shame because I should be like, oh wow, you signed to someone, and that that should be a surprise, but it's not. But yeah, no, in terms of how our roster is, like, my rule has always been that nobody will ever have like 5 or 6 people like per manager. Because when I was working for other agencies, I was managing up to like 11, 12 people by myself, which is a really difficult amount of people to manage. You also have the thing where some people will have loads of inbound and loads of interest, where some people won't, but you won't have any time to be proactive for the people that don't have inbound because you're so busy focusing on replying to emails for the people that do have inbound and all of that kind of stuff. You also then just don't really have time to think of new ideas. You're just burnt out. I went for a period when I was working for another agency where for 3 months, I did like 12-hour days. Like I was coming in at 10 and leaving at 10 every single day. And I was the only person doing it. There was no one else. I was doing 10-hour days because
why were you doing that?
Who knows at this point? No, to be fair, I was basically building an agency for another company, and I had a manager above me, but I was pretty much doing everything. And I had signed the bulk of people, which meant that I was managing the bulk of people.
Okay.
And I'm someone who I always want to do a good job for people. So it's not going to be like, oh, it's 6 o'clock, cool, I'm out. If I haven't really been able to outreach for someone or be proactive for someone, I'm then going to stay later so I can schedule some emails to go out the following day. But yeah, in terms of how shift is, as I said, we keep the roster small, like individually, so everyone has time to do work. It also means that your work-life balance is better. And actually, if your work-life balance is better, your work is better because you're not getting burnt out and you're not tired of work and you're not wanting to come in. So that's really important. But also, as you said, quality over quantity, 100%. We could have way more talent than we do right now, but like some of our key pillars are, we want people to be a good influence. So I always think if I had kids, would I be happy for all my kids to follow, all my kids? Don't know how many kids I already have. For all my kids to follow all of our talent. They have to be a good influence. They have to be a nice person. That's key. I've worked for agencies where I was managing people who just treated me with zero respect and just treated me horribly. And I had to continue managing them because they were bringing in money. So that my manager didn't really care how they were treating me. That really doesn't matter. We've had people who have spoken rudely or spoken rudely to the team or treated my team poorly. They're gone because there's no way that you're coming and treating my team with no respect. But the amount of work you have to do as a talent manager, there's no way those people are staying. So you have to be a nice person, have to have like some kind of value to their content. So because we've got these key pillars, we have to only sign people that are going to align with those key pillars. And it really doesn't matter how much money you're going to bring in or how much money you're making. If you don't align with those pillars and don't align with our values, then we're not signing you. So yeah, it's quality over quantity. And it's good because we've had really good feedback from other agencies where everyone always says like, your roster is sick, because we don't have anyone on our roster that's not. Yeah. We could, but I don't want to, because those people have to sit alongside other people, and it's really important that everyone's happy to sit alongside everyone else on the roster. Yeah. Does that make sense?
No, I like that a lot. I like that, and having those values that drive everything you do as well. Like similar to myself, and with this, so when we was talking before, we got the studio space and we lease it out to people. And I always say, I don't even like leasing, if I don't like the person, I don't really want to lease it to them.
Of course.
Like, and it sounds petty, and obviously you're a business, so you need to make money. But I'm like, man, I don't really like this guy.
No, but it's your space. Like you don't want dead energy in your space.
Because when people come in, I want people I actually vibe with. We have a conversation. We become, we develop a relationship over time. I don't want to work with people I don't like. And people I don't stand. I like that value-driven people, businesses, and that kind of thing as well. Yeah, I think it's very important. We need more people that have values and aren't just profit-driven only. Values first, profits will come, which you've proven in a short period of time with your agency as well. Yeah, you spoke a bit earlier. So with your talent, that there's a few things like contracts and brand negotiations and podcast appearances, etc., etc. Then all these different like nuanced things that go into management of talent. Is this all stuff that you learnt whilst you were working in the industry before, or did you have to learn some of these skills yourself again afterwards when you started your own agency?
Yeah, that's a good question. I learned the majority of my skills while working for my first agency, not my second agency. I'm really, really grateful to my first agency. They were amazing. I actually really enjoyed working there. I came in with zero background in influencer management, in marketing, anything. I'd come from an events background. So I went to university, did event management, worked in events for a year, and then decided I wanted to change. So started in influencer management. But I blagged it so hard. I didn't follow any influencers. I didn't follow any influencers. I was one of those petty people that used to like check if people were following me back. And I had one of those apps that like told you.
Yes, I know.
You know those ones?
Yeah.
Who like told you who was following you.
This person unfollow me.
I'm like, done. But the only two people, this is so rogue, the only two people that I followed that didn't follow me back were Rihanna and The Rock, like Dwayne Johnson. I don't even follow Dwayne Johnson. I still follow Rihanna, but I don't follow Dwayne Johnson anymore.
Because he doesn't follow you back.
I know, right? No, but those are the only two people that I follow. I didn't follow influencers. The only influencers that I did follow were people that were like my mates. So I saw this advert for a job and was like, do you know what? It sounds all right. I needed to get out of the job I was in because I was just really unhappy. I was like, do you know what? Let me apply for this, start working there, and then while I'm there, I'll figure out what my next move is, kind of thing. So started there and then loved it. But I think the best thing I did was that I worked for a small company first. So like, I think there was 5 of us at the time. So I like sat right next to the founder of the company and I learned really quickly from him. That was because he was a good teacher, but it's also because I'm someone who like, I actively try to learn and try to understand things. I'm very detail oriented. So it meant that understanding contracts came super quickly to me, and I'm quite a fast learner anyway. So I progressed quite quickly within that agency. But yeah, I learned a lot. No, I learned the bulk of what I know from that agency, but then I also obviously just did my own research understanding to then multiply that. My second agency, I'll be real, I learned nothing. The only thing I learned in that agency was that I can't work for people and I need to go and work for someone else. And I met my colleague Adam at that agency. And to be honest, me and him probably learned more from each other than we did from like anyone else within that agency. But yeah, I learned a lot from that first company, and I'm like fully grateful to them.
Yeah. When you and Adam started up Shift now, on signing talent in the first place. So some of the talent you signed, and had a look at some of the roster, and some of them are quite well known. I don't know whether that's sort of developed after you guys have signed them, or whether they've come into your agency already well known. What I'm wondering was that, because for people who are well known already, I'm assuming that they're going to have a lot of people reaching out to them saying, we'll manage you and we'll manage you. Some big organizations, some small organizations, but they will probably have some options. Yeah. What was it about you guys that why they chose you over other agencies? So
it's a bit of both. We've had people that have come in to us and then we've developed them and they've got bigger. Not saying they've got bigger specifically because of us, but we've helped them to grow and develop. And yeah, there's other people who have come in and have been quite big from they come. We just signed someone who's got like over 1 million followers. Can't announce that person yet, but we just signed someone who's got over 1 million followers. But yeah, I think what people have said about Shift and the people that have continued with us and have been with us for a long time now is that like they actually know us and we actually care about them. Like they have a level of friendship with us and a level of trust with us where they know that we have their best interests at heart. It's a tricky one, to be honest, because when you first sit down with a manager and you're having that meeting about potentially getting signed by them, realistically, we're salespeople. I can say whatever I want. Like I know what to say to get someone to sign with us. And that's the worrying thing, that like anyone can say anything for people to sign. I think the key with us is that like we can very happily put you in touch with talent that we manage that will tell you that we're not just saying it, like we actually are doing it behind the scenes. I think people like the fact that we're like a small team or a close team. The kind of people we manage, you can see that there's some level of value, like values there that we kind of hold. I think people just like us as people as well. I think, I don't know. I hope so. But what I will say is that like I'm someone who I genuinely don't lie. Like I can't be bothered. I think it's actually really a lot of effort to lie. I don't really get why people do it, but I don't lie. And I think generally that comes across when I have meetings with people where they can kind of tell I'm being genuine. I also always admit if I don't know something. If someone asks me something and I'm like, I don't know, or that's not my speciality or whatever, then I'll always be honest. But I think the reason people sign with us is because all of that, like the genuineness of us comes across. Yeah. And then, yeah, as I say, I always put people in touch with talent that we already manage, because it's all good and well me saying stuff, but it's better to hear it from people we actually work with and people that will be in the position that people that are in the position that you're potentially going to be in as well.
Yeah. Did you have any challenges that you didn't see coming, like just unforeseen stuff after you started up Shift?
Do you know what? I hate this question because we actually didn't have that many challenges and I always feel really bad saying it. And people always ask me and I'm like, to be honest, we actually haven't had that many challenges. We haven't had that many challenges at all. What I will say is that I think that's by design. In terms of me starting Shift, I did it when I knew I was completely ready to do it and I knew I had the knowledge and the contacts that it was going to be successful. I think probably the main challenge for us was within the first year. I probably didn't think about what our values were enough when I started signing people. I was very much like, oh, cool, like we need people to start the roster. And we had a strong starting roster. But as we went on, I was like, do you know what? These people don't fully align with what I want Shift to be. and it's difficult bringing someone into something and then being like, do you know what, actually we're not the best fit, we need to let you go, especially when you have like long-standing relationships with those people. So that was probably the biggest challenge of like really figuring out what our values are and making sure we stuck to them, because it's all good and well having values, but if you're like, oh, but that person makes us a good amount of money, so you know, like I want to be super strict with our values. So yeah, that was probably the main challenge of how do we make sure people are aligning with our values and also making sure that we're making money as a business. And it's worked out. But yeah, that's probably the main one. And I think my advice would always be to really figure out your values before you even start something. I think everyone will probably have that, where you have a little bit of time where you're kind of trying to figure it out. Yeah. But that was probably the main challenge, I would say.
And then you spoke about when you was working before, there's that 3-month period when you're doing 10 to 10, 12-hour days. And that. Yeah. What's the reality like now? Are you still having to put in like mad hours or?
No, do you know what? I work a lot, but I think my work-life balance is better now than it ever was when I was working for other people. I think what I've realized, I'm a very efficient person. And actually, sometimes when you're working for other people, you can't be efficient because you're waiting for someone to tell you to do something, or waiting for someone to approve something so you can do this. And like, there's a lot of blockers in your way of making sure you can get from A to B. So I think when you're fully in control of what your day looks like, to some degree, you can kind of just get on with stuff. And actually, like, I do a lot more because I can just get on with things. And actually, the way in which I've designed all of our processes means that Shift as an agency is very, very efficient. Processes are key as well. People need to get, people do not have good processes, but processes are key and everything flows. I think I'm good at delegation. I could be better, but I'm good at delegating things to people and making sure other people are working on things as well. So it's not just all on me, which I think is important as a manager. So yeah, there's definitely times where it's not, but I think there's more of a balance. Like literally last week, I don't think I got home before 9:30, like any day of the week. And I went to Cardiff for like 2 hours and it was all over the place. But that was like a week. And then there'll be other weeks where I can get home at 6:30, watch TV, have my dinner, go to bed, whatever. So I think I've got a better balance now.
That's good. And you talk about processes. What do processes look like?
I love processes. I love processes. My thing is, with Shift, I've designed it so everything can be as efficient as possible. So we've got like plugins in our email to make sure that emails bounce back into our inbox, so we can always make sure we're following up on things. So nothing is dropped. We use Trello. I don't know if you've used Trello before.
I see it. I've never. Is it that? Yeah. Is it a CRM or is it to manage calendars or something?
It's basically like a project management tool.
Yeah. Okay.
Essentially, it's like a little blue logo. That was helpful. Don't know why I did that. Like, that was really that showed you exactly what I was talking about. But yeah, Trello's a really helpful tool, and basically we use it to track all of our campaigns and where things are in the process. I love Excel, so I've made 1 million Excel sheets for us to track every single payment, everything. So it's very difficult for things to be dropped. It also means that the way in which I've designed everything is that if I'm super ill tomorrow and I can't open my laptop, the team can very easily pick everything up without me having to write a full handover, give access to my emails, all of that kind of stuff, which I think was like such a massive blocker in past agencies, where somebody would be off, something happened to someone, whatever, and you just have no idea what they've been working on. And you have no idea how to access things, and they've been having conversations and you have no idea. And I think when you have a streamlined process and when you set the process in motion from day one of your company, everyone can slot into that process, and training people is super easy. Everyone's working to the same standard. It just makes everything easier. It's like, I think it's the best thing you can do for a company is have a good process and everyone just plug into it. But you have to believe in your process, because I've seen people try to put process in place and people aren't really doing it. And then it's like, oh, it's all right, don't worry, you can do that. And then it's just a mess. So yeah, our process is really good. And one piece of feedback we always get is how efficient we are and how quickly we come back to people and how on it we are. So yeah, I'm happy about that. I think efficiency is key. It's the best thing you can have in a business. For
sure. That sounds good. And also, when I was looking into your LinkedIn and just your background in general, doing a bit of research and stuff, it looks like you've got a decent network as well. of people who are doing similar things to you. For
Yeah.
example, I saw recently you was at a dinner that was hosted by Charlotte.
Yeah.
Who was on here recently.
Yeah, I
actually.
saw.
Yeah.
You had a good interview with her.
Thank you. But then it looks like you've got a good network of people, especially people who are in a similar industry to you. How important has having a network been to you, and also how have you gone about building a network?
Yeah. I think having a strong network is key. I think having a community is key. I think, as I said earlier, the reason I knew I was ready to start Shift is because I had the contacts and the knowledge. I think you need both in this industry. I don't know. I don't really know how I made my network. I'm actually really, really bad at networking. I'm someone I don't really have. I'm not someone who will really go up to random people and have a conversation. I don't feel comfortable doing that. I try my best to, but I don't really enjoy doing it. I hate small talk with all my heart, and you kind of have to small talk when you're like having conversations with people. So I really have to force myself to small talk. But yeah, no, I think I'm someone who genuinely wants everyone to win, because we all can. Like, it's not a thing where like, oh, if you're doing well, then I'm not doing well. Like, we can all collectively do well together. And I think I'm someone who will always say other people's names in rooms. Like, if, for example, I was just mentioning someone who could be good for this podcast. So like, I'll always give people, if I see an opportunity that makes sense for someone, I'll send it to them, or I'll put them forward or whatever. And I think that's probably why my network is strong, because people know that I'm not talking to you or friends with you because I want something in return. I'm like, no, cool, like we can win together. And I also just really genuinely enjoy watching people's journeys. Even more so if like I've seen them come from like here and move their way up. But yeah, Charlotte's actually a really good example. Charlotte's someone who I've known since I was at uni, actually. I think I met her when I was at university. So she's proper seen me through like everything I've done. But I think collectively we shout each other a lot to ask for advice and an opinion, or to run it or whatever, which is really important. That's why her dinner was amazing, because she basically just brought together a bunch of people that have supported her throughout her journey as a business owner. I would love to do that. She did it year 5, so I'll wait a couple of years. I'll do it when it's year 5 as well. Actually, no, let me not say that, because someone's going to quote me on it. And
they're going to pull this up. It's dinner.
But yeah, no, I honestly couldn't tell you. I also, do you know what I will say? I'm from South London, and everyone from South London knows each other. So that's actually been helpful for me, where loads of my friends from back in the day have just happened to do well in life, which means I can shout people for a lot of things. Everyone always jokes that I know someone who can do everything. Like, if you need a DJ, I can shout a DJ. Or if you need someone who does events, I can shout someone who does events. But yeah, how I've maintained that network, I'm not sure. I think it probably is just saying people's names in rooms, I hope.
Oh, that's sick.
Yeah.
I've listened to a few things here and read some stuff online. So you said that you were in profit from day one.
Yes.
You got to $1 million after 13 months.
Yeah.
After 2 years, 2 million.
Mm-hmm. Revenue. Yeah.
I don't know.
I just want to make sure people know that. Because a lot of my friends seem to think I'm a millionaire, and I'm like, that's not how it works.
Yeah. But it seems like it's quite quick growth, to be fair. So quite. I don't know what it looks like now. You can.
No, it's going well. So we hit. What are we on now? Actually, let me not quote, because I actually can't remember off the top of my head. But no, we're doing very well. We've like consistently grown over the years. So yeah.
Well, what would you say has been the most critical factor to your success?
The most critical factor to our success. I think what I said, genuinely, happiness over profits. When people are happy, like everything else falls into place. When people are happy, they come into work happy, so they do a better job. They actually genuinely enjoy their work, so they're excited to be proactive. They're excited to do things. They're excited to do projects. You make sure your talent's happy, which means that same thing. They're excited to work. They're excited to create content. We think long term, that's key, because you have a lot of agencies that want to make money, so they're signing off every single campaign that comes in through their inbox, when actually a lot of those campaigns probably aren't the best thing for their talent long term. If your talent wants to work with like a luxury fashion brand long term, you can't be signing off deals with like a Boohoo or a PLT, because I promise you those luxury brands probably aren't going to work with them, because it doesn't align. So you have to think long term, and actually it's really important to say no to things in order to get those bigger things down the line. And all of our talent have seen this, where they'll say, We'll say to them, look, you should probably say no to this. And they'll be like, oh, I'm not sure. The people that listen to us are the most successful because they'll say no to the first 3 things that come through that are like really poorly paid or just don't align with what they're trying to do long term, or the creative doesn't even make sense for them, blah, blah, blah. And then that 4th one will come through, massive deal, loads of money, completely perfect for them, because you have to stick to those values. So I think, yeah, the people over the profits and sticking to the values is probably the key, because we might sign off fewer campaigns, but the campaigns we sign off are more well paid and bigger campaigns or longer term campaigns or whatever it may be. And our talent will continue to grow because their audience aren't bombarded with ads. They're seeing ads that make sense for them, which means that their audience are actually interacting with them because they're like, wow, I've seen you use this brand for years and now you're working with them. That's great. Rather than, oh, you sold me 3 shampoos in the last week. How can I trust you? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some people do that for real.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like clear values, clear vision, and just centering people rather than making money will make you money.
You know what's interesting because like it seems, and you've made it quite clear throughout this conversation so far that you're very much values driven, and it's that over profits.
Yeah.
I've worked on things in the past where I've tried like to do random businesses and literally just random stuff just for money. I don't care.
I feel like everyone's
whatsoever.
tried to do that sooner or later.
I've tried, man. I've tried, and then I'm like, if I do this, I stick with it. There's a clear path, and I can quickly make some money.
Yeah.
But I've just never been motivated to stick with it. Never.
That's it.
I've tried, and I just can't. I literally can't get my head around it, and I've just never been able to stick through with it. There was something like 1,000 Voices. I've been doing it for 2 years without making money like that. And just because it's more so aligns with my values and what I care about, I've been able just to stick with it over a period of time consistently. No matter how tough it's got, and it has got tough and busy and that kind of thing, but I've been able to stick with it over time. Have you ever had some kind of moral dilemma? Like, maybe not moral dilemma is the wrong word, but you know, some sort of like dilemma where you get stuff that comes in and you're like, right, cool, this looks like it'd be a good payday for us and our talent.
Yeah.
But it doesn't look like it works.
Do you know what? Not really. In terms of like brand campaigns, not really. Like collectively as a team, it's mad because we've signed down deals that are like tens of thousands of pounds because it just don't make sense. Or it's like really, as much as it's a lot of money, the amount of stuff they're asking for just isn't fair. And that's a big thing for us at Shift as well, like ensuring that people are getting paid fairly, treated fairly, etc. So not really in terms of brand deals, but I've had that in terms of talent, where there's maybe talent that are making quite a lot of money, but we know we shouldn't be working with them for the way in which they're treating us or whatever. So that's a harder one because I went through a situation at one point where we had a creator where just not treating us nicely at all, kind of not responding to us all day and then responding to us at 6 o'clock, and then we were then having to work into the evening because we weren't able to do any work during the day because we were waiting, things like that. And it got to a point where I was like, do you know what? We really need to drop this person, but that could potentially put us in a position where we maybe then have to let go one of the team because we maybe won't have enough money to pay for that person. But yeah, to be fair, I'm happy because we always stick with it because we were like, do you know what? Doesn't make sense. The person was aligned as well, so cool, see you later. And then we signed like 3 people who were sick and basically tripled the amount that person was making individually within like a month. So I think it's always scary, but it's you kind of have to just trust in the fact that like when you stick with your values, things will work out in the end. As you said, like sometimes it takes a little while longer, but actually the reason you stuck with this for so long is because you actually truly believed in it, rather than, oh, it's going to make me some money. Because when you're just doing something for money, if it doesn't make you money within the first few months, you're like, I'm over it, see you later. Whereas actually when you truly believe in something, you could be doing something for 5-10 years without making any money, but actually sooner or later people are going to see like externally, not like this is something, this has got like substance. You can see it with creators as well. You can see creators that have set out to be an influencer, and you can see creators that are like, do you know what, I love to create. And those people that love to create will always go further because one, you actually have joy in it and you're like you're passionate about it, but also your audience can always see it. I'm sure you've got people that you like can think of where it's like
yeah.
I know what you're doing. You're trying to get that hashtag ad brand deal. That's it. That's all you care about. In comparison to people that you've seen them posting to their 100 followers for months and months and months, and then suddenly they blow up and they have a video where everyone's now following them, and actually you can see that joy, and actually you're probably happier for that person because they really put the work in.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's as I say, not really with brand deals, but definitely with talent. And I hope we don't have to go through that again, because I think now we're like super clear on the kind of person we're signing moving forward. And we have a 3-month trial period, so that's quite a good time period to be like, cool, this person seems cool, but are they actually a nice person to work with within the 3 months? They could hide it for 3 months, but should get us the vibe, basically.
What does it look like when you're working with talent?
What do you mean, like day to day?
Yeah.
I don't know. I have there's no day to day. I literally just did a week in my life video, and every single day was different. The general basic day to day is obviously negotiations, contracts, etc. How we work with talent is that we like to actually genuinely form like a relationship with them and like build that connection, because I think the more you know someone, the better job you can do for them. For example, like this was years ago, but I remember Adam went out to dinner with with a guy that he just signed. Like I think he'd been managing him for a couple of months. Went out for dinner, and then the guy ordered the vegan option, and then he found out he was vegan. At no point had this guy told Adam that he was vegan, but he went out with him and saw he was vegan. He then put him forward for brand deals that were like vegan focused, and within like the month he'd got him like 3 brand deals that were around being plant-based or vegan or whatever. So it's really important to know your talent. So we try our best to have like regular catch-ups with them, to go to events with them. We do events ourselves. So like every birthday we bring all of our talent together. Every Christmas we bring all of our talent together, which is nice for them as well, because it kind of brings them into a community and having people around them that do similar things. But yeah, it honestly changes daily. Sometimes I'm going off to a shoot. Sometimes I personally go and do talks and stuff as well, or like our talent do talks. I'm going and helping them with a talk. Yeah, every day is different for real.
Yeah. And your team, you spoke about your team.
Yeah.
How have you gone about building the team? Like, and because I'm assuming it sounds like the team's been quite important to the success of the company as well. So how do you go about building and getting the right people within your team?
That's key. Like I think building a team is really difficult. I personally really enjoy it, but I haven't really come across that many other founders that actually like hiring and building a team. Like all my friends are like, that's so strange.
A lot of people I talk to, they're like, they're only working freelancers because they don't want to deal with like HR and all that kind of stuff with a team. But.
Fair. To be fair, I think I've been lucky so far that I've hired people that are all good.
Yeah.
But maybe one day I'll have issues and I'll be like, I hate hiring.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, team is super important. So I founded the company, and then obviously, as I said, I worked with Adam at a previous agency anyway. So when I started Shift, I shouted at Adam and basically said, do you want to join this? So he joined 6 months after Shift launched, left the agency we were at and came over after 6 months. And then our first like junior hire was Sydney. So what did we put out? Do you know what? Let me rewind. When we were hiring, something that was a key for me was to hire only entry level and junior like talent to come into the company. The reason being is because the marketing industry is super white and middle class. And the reasons it's super white and middle class is because all these other agencies are asking for like 2 years of experience for an entry level job. Makes no sense. You don't, what? For an entry level job, that's literally entry level. You need 2 years of experience, you need a degree, you need all of this stuff that actually is cutting off loads of working class people, loads of people from minority backgrounds.
And then they'll pay minimum wage on top of that.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah, you've been working for 2 years, but by the way, here's pennies. Like, what are you talking about? So it was key for me that I really wanted to bring in entry-level people, train them up. And whether they stay with Shift or not, like I want to bring more people into this industry that look and sound like me and like the surroundings that I've been kind of brought up in. So I think we put it out on Social Fixed, if you've heard of it.
That's
Mercedes Benson's platform. Yeah. Incredible platform, but we put it out on their job platform. I think Sydney found it through there from memory, but we also put it out on like LinkedIn and all of that kind of stuff. We got a decent amount of applicants, to be fair, but yeah, no, Sydney stood out. I could see she was someone who was gonna be proactive and like actually genuinely want to be a part of like building Shift, because I think when you join a startup agency, you're involved in the building and the creation of like what it actually looks like, and I wanted people to be involved in that. So yeah, brought Sydney in. The training of entry level people is hard because obviously when you bring someone in that's from another agency that's done this job, they can just come in and you leave them to it, they get on with it. When you bring in someone who has absolutely no experience, Sydney used to work in like education, she was like a teacher at school. you have to literally train them on everything. And it's also, you really realize the small things that you know that you kind of forgot that everyone else doesn't. So like all of the jargon and things that you don't even realize is jargon anymore. It's like slang. You know, there's certain slang words where you actually forget that it's not an English language word. But yeah, so had to train her up, which is a slower process. But to be honest, I'd rather do that because the benefit for us is that people are then working to our standards rather than having to retrain someone or untrain someone that's come from somewhere that they don't work in a way that we want them to work. So trained up Sydney, then brought in Marley. That was a whole different thing. So we decided, worst decision of my life, we decided that we were going to do a TikTok video, basically about the job post. Bear in mind, our TikTok videos at the time, we had like less than 1,000 followers. Our TikToks at the time were getting like a few hundred likes, couple thousand likes, whatever. This video blew up. I'm sure it's got like 50, 70,000 views on this video. And I saw it going up and I was like, I might have to delete this video. But it's going up, there's comments and comments and comments, like so many shares, so many saves, all of that kind of stuff. So we got over 350 applicants for that job. So that was a lot to go through. And I said, I'm going through every single application. Like we're not cutting anyone out. The key is when you're looking for people at entry level is that obviously you're not looking for any particular experience or education that they've had. Is way more about transferable skills, which kind of means you need to look at their application with like a different eye, because you have to kind of see what they're not saying, if that makes sense, and like read in between the lines of what they're saying. But we had 350 people, obviously it's a lot of people. So we had kind of two phases where we had a phone call phase where we just had a 15-minute phone call. We asked every single person the same 5 questions, and they're like super simple questions. But again, it's like we're listening to what they're not saying. And then we brought in people for interviews. So yeah, Marley obviously got through in the end and hired. I feel like if I was her, I'd feel so sick that out of 350 people, I got the one job. But I don't know if she cares. But yeah, so that was key. What I will say is that when we're hiring, it's key to look for people that are going to be good at the job, but also really important for people to be able to fit in the team. And I don't think a lot of hiring managers think about that. They think about, this person ticks the boxes for this job. But then people come in and they disrupts the like culture of the company or the feeling of the company. So that was really important for us. Like me and Adam are people that are very hard workers, and we've been working, both of us, since we were teenagers and continuously worked from that period of time. We're very proactive. So it didn't make sense for us to have someone who had like crazy gaps on their CV or was happy to kind of not really do that much outside of work or whatever. It's fine, but realistically, they're probably not going to align with how me and Adam work and like our outlook on life. So yeah, luckily for us, we got 2 people that are good and have stayed with the company. Sydney just had her 2-year anniversary. I think Marley's been with us for about 1.5 years now as well. It's also about kind of sustainable growth. I've seen this in companies where they're just consistently hiring, but you're not ever training people properly, and you're never really figuring out what the company culture is or like how people fit within the team. And I think that's when teams kind of start blowing up and things start going wrong, or like I'm coming to you and I'm getting one level of service, you're coming to me, you're getting a different level of service. So sustainable growth was key for us, both with talent and with the team as well. I feel like I went off on a tangent. I can't remember what you actually asked me.
I was asking about how you go about hiring the right kind of people for the team, but you answered it.
Cool.
So it was good.
I do that a lot. I just start talking and forget.
That's what when I'm in your position, I do that as well. God, I'm mad as I'm like, wait. What was the question again?
Literally, I'm like...
No, you're good. You're good. If you could go back and start all over again, would you do anything differently? With regards to shift, not your whole career, but
my
shift.
life. Probably, as I said, just the being clearer on the values earlier on. But to be honest, maybe not actually, because I think I had to make those mistakes to be super clear on what the values were. Yeah, so no, probably not, to be honest. Like I'm happy with how it goes, but yeah, happy with how it's went. But yeah, probably that, if anything, just being like way clearer on values early on, I think.
To summarize,
yes.
So we spoke about a lot of things, and we touched upon a number of different things within your journey. You've grown the company, well, you and your team, I should say, have grown the company from zero, nothing from the first day, to over 2 million in revenue in just over 2 years now.
Yeah.
If you were to summarize everything,
3 million now. Sorry, I just realized. I realized you said 2 million. Yeah, sorry.
So up to 3 million, over 3 million revenue. Over the last few years or so. If you were to summarize everything, what would you what would you put down that success to?
I joked to the team that if you asked me this, I would say me, but I won't. What would I put that down to? I think having clear values and having values that are like everyone within the team are aligned. It's really nice to be in a company where all of us are on the same vibe. Like all of us have the same vision, the same values. Like we genuinely care. Because I've been in a lot of companies where a couple people will care and then a whole lot of people don't, and it's really difficult to be one of the people that do care. So I think I'd put it down to our shared values and shared vision. And shared is key because like Shift wouldn't be Shift without the team. So yeah, shared visions in summary.
Nice. Good stuff. Have you got any final words for us?
No, it's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure talking to you. It's been cool talking about the journey of Shift.
It's been lovely having you here as well, man. Thank you for coming down.
Thanks.
Lots of value, all that stuff. This is 1000 Voices. We had Chloë Downes on the podcast. So for now, people, we're out. If you would like to understand how you can use your voice to drive change, how you can craft compelling stories to move audiences, and for additional wisdom from the guests that we have on the podcast, sign up to our newsletter. Every single week, we send actionable pieces of advice to change makers like you. So if you haven't already, the sign up link for the newsletter will be in the description of this episode.